Over the darkness I have no power. Hope she'll be happier with him.
Africa at that time had been, you know, even today is still depicted in a negative light most often. But at that time, you know, it must have been like, I must have been nervous going out there just because all the images America or the media sent back about what Africa was at that time. Do you think, what was your feeling like when you made the decision that you was going to go participate in the Zaire '74?
Well, somebody asked me if I wanted to go, and I was curious, and you know, I could block out that time. You know, in those days, boxing was a lot more popular than it is now. I was telling somebody earlier, the Super Bowl was the second biggest event next to a Muhammad Ali fight, because Ali had this charisma and this thing, and I had met him actually when he was, just as he was coming back. I was checking his hotel in Chicago, and this guy said, you know, Ali's in town. So I said, well, I tell him I'm upstairs. I had never met him, and I was new in this business. So I wasn't expecting to see him. So somebody knocks on my door, and there was Ali with Kid Gavilan. See, you're too young, but Kid Gavilan was this guy from Cuba, really fascinating boxer. So, and he was fun and stuff, you know. So I thought, like, well, this be interesting. Go over here and check out the fight and see this new place. So I wasn't burdened by that perception of Africa, because I had lived with that perception of us here.
Right.
And I was traveled. I had been in the Navy 9 years, so I remember being in Japan, and some of the girls had been told that we had tails. So I made this visual in my mind, and we had been told that they had horizontal hoo-hoos. You heard that myth?
I haven't heard that one.
Oh man, you don't know all the good stuff, man. This is good stuff, you know. Well, use your imagination.
Right.
And so I pictured this brother and this girl circling each other, her looking for his tail, and him trying to see if hers was horizontal instead of vertical, you know. So I had lived with those myths all my life. So I expected myths, you know. You know, it's like now I expected myths.
Right.
I'm 70 years old, so when some guy 20 years old walks up to me and says, hey, dude, he's making assumptions, you see?
Yeah.
So I have to accommodate him. So the way you survive myths towards you is you have to be bigger than the myths, and you have to make allowances for somebody else's ignorance and not let that consume you and fill you full of this anger that's self-destructive. Right. And so instead of doing things in spite of, you don't do things because of, and that's self-defeating, you know. Right. And so, no, I wasn't burdened with that perception. I was curious. We were going to stay in the Kinshasa Hotel, and it was more like Miami. Well, hey, man, well, you're in the middle of Africa, but you're lounging out by the pool, you know, and you're drinking like pina coladas and stuff, so.
Well, I see y'all performing, and I know there's these big light racks over here. It's always hot on stage, but it looked like it must have been 100 degrees. Everybody's just dripping wet and everything. Can you tell me about actually performing on the stage? Like, how was it feeling? How was your reception from the audience? I mean, I'm sure the audience would see it on Soul Power, but personally, how was your feelings about the reception from the Zaire audience?
It was interesting. And it was interesting to me how they edited the film, because the closest music to their music was the Latino band, the Fania All-Stars. So, in all honesty, they didn't get a lot of us, you know,
Right.
because culturally their music was, listen to it, it's closer to ting, 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 to ting, ting, ting. You know, well, hey, man, that you know, you got B.B. King, you know, talking about, I gave you 7 children and you want to give them back. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
So it was interesting to check out the difference in how they had evolved where they were and how we had evolved where we were.
Right.
So we're speaking English, they're speaking French. Nobody's speaking any kind of African language.
Right.
And so we were all the results of what had taken place, where we were, you know. So it was like this thing that maybe started here, but it went here. So you say, okay, let's go back and see how much of the origin we can find. And it was difficult, you know. It was difficult because a lot of stuff had happened, you know what I mean?
Right. Now, Zaire, I mean, even with it being concert and everything else, it seemed like it was a movement to kind of like bridge the gap between Africans and African Americans more in your time than it is today. Like, I mean, we don't see athletes or events going to Africa now, but we see, you know, the Thriller Manila and this fight in Zaire back in, you know, Ali's heyday, and now today there's not such a movement. What do you think happened between now and then where nobody followed up on that? You know,
Nothing. Nothing. It was an event that took place. It was business, you know. And we weren't there enough time to have this great social exchange. So, you know, things like that can get romanticized and all like that. But as you see, nothing happened. There was no residual contact or no, you know. So it was a thing. It happened. It was a wonderful, you know. There was a great fight that came out of it, and all like that. But, you know, I knew James Brown before we got on the plane.
Right.
You know. So I don't think anybody established any long relationships, you know.
Well, I appreciate your time, Mr. Withers.
You too,
I don't
man.
know where you stole 20 years from, because I know you can't be 70.
Yeah.
I know your music goes back there, so I know you.
Well, thank you, man. All right, I appreciate, yeah.